Hello, everyone, and welcome to the learning capsule of AASB S2. This new standard requires companies to disclose how they govern climate risk, integrate climate strategy into business plans, and identify key risks and opportunities. This would help empowering the stakeholders to understand resilience and decision making in the changing.
When we talk about applying climate thinking in business, two of the most powerful levers are governance and strategy. Let's start with governance. Think this is about who owns climate responsibility at the top of the organization. At ANZ Bank, for example, they have gone a step further than most. Executive bonuses are directly linked to emissions reduction target. This isn't a symbol anymore. This is a structure. When pay is tied to climate performance, it moves from a checkbox exercise to a boardroom priority. That's when climate action becomes embedded in culture, not just a compliance activity. Now let's talk about strategy. How companies respond and evolve in a changing climate. West Farmer is a good exercise and an example. They redesigned parts of their supply chain to stay operational during floods, bushfires, and other disruption driven by extreme weather. This included rerouting deliveries, spreading out warehouse locations, and using climate data to forecast disruptions. Why? Because every day a store is closed due to weather is a lost revenue, and it damages trust with the clients. But this is more than defense. A resilient strategy doesn't just protect, it adapts and grows. It helps companies to spot opportunity in the change, like entering a new green market, switching to a low emission transport, or developing more sustainable products that customers increasingly demand. So here's a practical takeaway. In governance, ask, is climate risk showing up in our executive KPIs or board reporting pack? In strategy, ask, are we planning for physical disruption? And are we seeing sustainability as a driver of growth, not just risk? Because when governance and strategy align with climate priorities, you are not just preparing a report, you're preparing to lead. Let's talk about climate risk and how it's rapidly becoming a central pillar in enterprise decision making. Under AASB S2, climate risk isn't meant to sit in a separate sustainability report. It needs to be embedded directly in your company's enterprise risk management. So, what are we really managing? First, we have physical risk. These are risks from climate related events like floods, bushfires, or extreme heat. Imagine a warehouse that gets flooded during heavy rainfall or a mine site where high temperature halt operations. These aren't hypothetical anymore. They are managing um, they are happening and this hit the bottom line directly. Think operational downtime, rising insurance cost, and asset write-downs. Now let's look at transition risk. These are the financial, market, reputational risk that comes from the global shift to a low carbon economy. We are talking about carbon pricing, tightening regulation, stranded assets, or customer switching to cleaner alternatives. A coal plant, for example, might still generate revenue, but its long-term value could collapse as clean energy becomes the norm. Here's where the best companies pull ahead. They don't treat climate risk as a siloed issue. They integrate it into their enterprise-wide risk system. A great example is BHP. They use scenario modeling to see how different climate features, like a 1.5 degree or 3-degree Celsius world, would affect their climate decisions in mining and energy. This helps them to allocate billions with eyes wide open. And that's the key. When you integrate climate risk into your ERM, you move from reacting to preparing, from uncertainty to insight. So here's a practical takeaway. Review your risk registers. Are climate risk listed alongside financial, legal, and cyber risk? Are physical risk mapped to the asset location? Are transition risks included in your strategic planning? Because until climate risk is embedded in the same system that manages your financial risk, it's not truly being managed.
Imagine your company facing a major climate event tomorrow. Who leads the response? What risk have you missed? How will your strategy adapt? Take 10 minutes today and map out who's accountable in your organization. List down major climate risk which you see around your organization and one way your business could pivot. Real impact starts when you start thinking clearly about the implications of AASB S2. Stay tuned to learn more interesting concepts in ASBS2 and how to apply those in practical working life.